Senior Washington correspondent Jeff Zeleny, and also with us is Republican strategist and CNN political commentator Ana Navarro. Jeff, you heard Mr. Trump in all his glory. First of all, I have to say it's infectious the way he talks. Everything is the biggest, the best, the most beautiful. I feel like I should say
when it comes to him, when it comes to an opponent, it's pathetic, it's loser, it's baby stuff.
We have an amazing, wonderful, super duper panel right now with us. But he called Anderson, to your point, he called the question about illegal immigrants at his property 35 years ago pathetic. Is it pathetic, or is this just fair game? If you take on illegal immigration, people are going to look for whether or not Mitt Romney has gardening workers that are illegal.
And that's exactly what it is. Running for president is different than talking about running for president, and Donald Trump is running squarely into that. Now that he is running for president, people are asking him these questions. He's the one who brought it up. He's the one who opened the door to this subject. So, of course, it's a legitimate thing. But the point is, this is not what the party wants to be talking about, or voters necessarily want to be talking about. But he's opened up a can of worms inside your party that a lot of people would have preferred sort of remain closed, at least for now, I assume.
But Anna,
Jeff,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm so glad they pay you the big bucks to tell me things that I don't know, that we don't want to be talking about this.
Let me ask you, Anna, because you know, it is true you had not heard a lot about immigration on the campaign trail, and clearly Trump, whether or not you like him, whether or not you like his words, his language, etc., he is tapping into something. He is second in the national polls of Republicans. He's second in Iowa. He's second in New Hampshire. People like what he's saying. Significant numbers of Republican voters like it.
You know, Jake, I think that you had heard a lot about immigration on the trail because, you know, I know that there's been a lot of talk from Scott Walker. He's had several different positions. Certainly everywhere that Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio go, they get asked about it and answer it. So I think there has been conversation. What there hasn't been are outrageous, racist, broad stroke comments that just garner the national attention and that have been in the media now for over 3 weeks.
And yet, whether you call it racist or not, there are people who think he's telling it like it is, that the borders are broken, we need to do something about it, it's an outrage. Clearly, his language has been offensive at times to many people, but not to others.
Sure, not to others, but I mean, like, this is a Republican Party primary discussion that's going on here. Of course, most people agree that the border is actually broken. That's one thing that they can actually agree to. I mean, my question is, the first debate is a month from yesterday. Will that be a moment for a civil discussion and a constructive discussion on immigration policy inside the party, or is it going to be sort of more of this? I'm not sure we've had much of a productive discussion on it, but of course there are a lot of people, a lot of conservatives inside the party who do like to sort of hear what he's saying. They're fed up on immigration. It's a raw subject, but it's a loser for the party, and the party leaders know that.
But let me ask you this. Because Donald Trump talked about that horrific incident last Thursday in San Francisco, where that young woman, Katie Steinle, was killed by an undocumented worker in this country who'd been deported several times and was still in the U.S. because he was in a sanctuary city, San Francisco, where even though he was arrested for drugs, he was not handed over to the federal authorities and deported again. Donald Trump, whatever you think of him, he has brought that issue to the forefront of the political discussion.
The timing was a little different. I mean, Donald Trump made his outrageous comments way before that.
Right, but he brought the case of Katie Steinle, and it's a legitimate case to discuss.
It's a very legitimate case, and I think it's a gross negligence by the city of San Francisco. It is a failure by the city of San Francisco to maintain the welfare of the people of San Francisco. But I think it's also exploiting that case to try to make political points out of it. Let's have the serious discussion, the serious policy discussion of what went wrong and where the system failed that woman and the citizens of San Francisco.
And let me ask you, what is the response by the other campaigns to Donald Trump? I know I've gotten angry calls. Why are you even covering this guy?
Sure.
From campaigns? And for me, you know, he's doing well in polls. He's out there. And the truth of the matter is, and this is something that a lot of people don't like to hear, he's granting interviews, and the frontrunners of the Democratic and Republican parties are not really giving interviews all that often.
I think that's true. I mean, the point is, what is his end game here? Despite the fact that he's second place in the polls, and we talk a lot about polls, the reality is the polls don't mean much, if anything, right now at this point. He's out there talking and things, but other candidates have more to lose by, you know, sort of giving interviews and things. I wish every, candidate would come on CNN and give interviews, but the reality is, you know, some are spending time talking to voters. But I think that this is not a constructive discussion inside the Republican Party right now on immigration. That is, I think, what the issue is. But others are reacting to him. You know, we have seen Jeb Bush, of course, come out and and push back at him, and Marco Rubio as well.
Jeff Zeleny and Anna Navarro, thank you both so much.